rites, ritual, principles, custom, traditions, rules. Okay, various kinds of institutional norms or institutional rules are there when we are talking of that marriage as an institutions. Okay, so here some of the definition that has been try to build the definition of or some of the definitions that are trying to give you a complete understanding about that particular institutions. Okay, so first we will start from the least definition. Here he wants to tell that what when we are entering to that institutions or when we are joining that institution, what are the different kinds of we generally get the rights or we generally we are assigned of different kind of rights. So first point is that it is a process or it is an institution where you are legitimatizing your offspring. Okay, and second point is that it is socially approved. uh, how you are accessing the spouse sexuality, labor and property. Okay, so that institutions, marriage institutions, it provides you that kind of rights or that kind of legal rights when you are enjoying these kind of action or this kind of activity. Okay, and another point is that uh, here one is you are legitimatizing your offspring. Second is that you are trying to access the spouse sexuality, labor and property establishment. Okay, so through that institution somehow you have also the rights on the spouse property. Okay, and you have also the rights of, like, if the spouse or if the person he has married you, then definitely it is considered, it is obvious that he or she will uh, do labor for you. Okay, so that kind of idea is has given. Okay, and here another definition how Guha has tried to define marriage, that is marriage is a relationship established between a woman and one or more other person which provides a child born to the woman under circumstances not prohibited by the rules of relationship is accorded full birthrights, full birth status right, common to normal membership of his society or social stratum. It means where Guha is trying to define marriage in that perspective that when a when a woman that is getting married to a person or more than one person, okay, and when child is born to that woman, then uh, he will be the legal citizen of that or legal member of that particular community from where that woman was belonging to. Okay, so and they will try to fix how that rule of membership is going to be decided. Okay, they will explain. Okay, in by applying those proper rules and regulation, that child can get that membership status of that particular community. Okay, and uh, Guha has also tried to define that marriage in certain ways, that there are certain kind of violence in the rules of marriage. For example, the caste violence. Okay, or for example you will see that when uh, in our previous class we are trying to decide how there are different caste groups are there and different subcaste groups are there. Okay, so by when you are choosing your spouse or when there is marriage alliance is it is taking place, then that rules leads to many kind of caste conflict among the different communities, because marriage institution that provides you the rights to access those kinship properties that can also provide you the access to the different common resources. Okay, so that can also provide you that facility where that aspired status can be achieved. For example, when one person is married to a particular caste community, definitely the status of that community will be enjoyed by the newly married that person. Okay, so because of those kind of entitlements, there are lot many collision or lot many conflicts are there when they are choosing their partners. Okay, so there are many rules are there, like endogamy, exogamy, many rules are there. Okay, so that part also Guha has tried to define. Okay, and there are also certain other kind of definition scholars have given, that it is not only the marriage that is happening between two individual with their consent. There are many cases of marriage where you have seen that forceful marriages are happening. It may be there will be a zero consent of the two individuals. The community will try to fix that marriage. Okay, or there will be a one consent of two individual. Okay, either it is the male or it is the female. Okay, that is also happening. So forceful marriage is also there. One way we have seen that some of the definition they are defining, it is when two individual they are entering into that institution with their consent. And in some other marriage institution you will see that they are forcefully they're forcefully entering to that institutions of marriage, or they are forced to enter to that institutions. Okay, so that kind of marriage rules are also there. So if we are trying to define the marriage, there may be different kind of regional variations will be there. Okay, there may be different variations we will find out, but there is some common kind of nature of that particular institution. We will find that, like the lead said, that legitimatizing certain kind of rules, or certain kind of access to the different kind of the rights. Okay, so these things are universal in every marriage. Okay, and you will also see that when they are voluntarily or involuntarily entering to that institution, they have to obey, or they have to go with the institutional rules and regulation, what it may be. Okay, may it be the rituals of like monogamy, or the rules of polygamy, or may it be the endogamy, exogamy, or any other rituals or rule they have to follow. Okay, so that is the another part. Okay, so it is providing different kind of rights and ritual right accessibility to different kinds of rights and facilities. And second is, when you are entering to that institution, you have to go with the institutional rules and regulations. Okay, that is another thing. And third is that you will definitely find the regional variations of that institutions. Okay, and uh, yes, it is correct that marriage are universal, and all universal definitions of marriage are vague. Okay, so that is the proposition of lease. Okay, so here you will find that uh, like we said that anything and everything kind of rule they may establish in that particular kind of institutions of marriage. Okay, so here you will understand that there are regional variations are there, and that institutions provide you certain kinds of rights. Okay, so why and what and why of marriage here you will understand that, like the first definition we understood that to avail certain kind of rights and certain kind of facilities, for that we marry. And like we were studying the Indian society, and that is dominated by the Hindu population. So as we have also described that the institution of family, okay, to have a family, there are many kind of explanations are there in dharma shastras. Okay, like we were discussing in in our previous class, that to get rid of that pitru purusas pitrarin, means ancestor indebtedness, you have to procreate. Okay, so to procreate you have to marry. Okay, so there are many uh, textual explanation of marriage are there. Why you should marry? Okay, and as we have said that, we have seen that we have got many kind of ascribed status like caste. Okay, and we have also got the identity of a particular family. Okay, or we have also other kind of identity like ethnic identity, regional identity. There are many kind of ascribed status we have been assigned. Okay, so those uh, those social positions or those identity, uh, it try to force you to enter in that particular institutions. Okay, and we generally follow those kind of institutional rules and regulations what the mass or what the larger society they are following. Okay, like the Indian society dominated by a particular kind of uh, religious community, that is the Hindu community. Okay, so they have their traditional textual analysis are there. According to those textual explanation, these institutions are they are running, or they are trying to function with the explanation of those text or literature. Okay, so how those institutions and those literature they have explained the institutions of marriage. Why should one enter into the institution of marriage? They are doing like that. Okay, and what is marriage? We have we discussed that uh, it is an institutions, and there are many institutional rules are there. One has to obey those institutional rule if that person is entered into that marriage, enter into that institutions. Okay, so and that when you are entered into that institution, you will be entitled of various kinds of that is privileges, prestige, or access to different kind of resources. For example, that the list said that access to the sexuality of a women labor and its property rights. Okay, so those things will also happen. Okay, so and as we have seen that you must have heard the marriage of Anuloma and Pratiloma, rules of Anuloma and Pratiloma, where you are trying to find that way where one particular status can be mobile to another status, or how that social mobility is taking place through that Anuloma and Pratiloma marriage. Okay, so and here in the Anuloma and Pratiloma marriage, you will find many kind of caste conflicts are happening. Okay, uh, and when we are discussing the marriage in India, you will certainly find out that, like we were discussing the sociology in India and the contribution of different reformists, how they have contributed for the origin of sociology in India. Okay, so in that chapter we have also discussed the reformists like Rajaram Mohan Rai. Okay, so their first kind of objectives, the issue they have taken to reconstruct the society after being exposed to the modern ideologies. Okay, the first kind of issue they have took was he has took was that is the uh, abolition of child marriage. Okay, and he has also took the issue like the widow remarriage. Okay, so from the very beginning we have seen that the age of marriage in Hindu community or in India basically that was very low, or it is at a younger age they were getting married. Okay, but after exposed or after uh, new rules or new regimes they have came into India, we have tried to uh, change that age, or we have tried to change the age of marriage. Okay, like there are many changes which has seen in the age of in the case of age of marriage. Okay, uh, now we have seen that uh, from where the women's age of marriage at a point of time it was on a for example it was in different states they have fixed the age of marriage in a different phase. Okay, here it is given that Rajasthan, there you will see that female marriage age that is 17.5. Okay, at 1991. Okay, and in Assam it was 21.5. Okay, and uh, here you will say that hello. Okay, so here when we are discussing the age of marriage in India, you will see various kind of definitions or debate discussion that are going on how to fix that age of marriage. Okay, for example, we are still in the process of defining who are teen or who are the at what age that adulthood will come. Okay, so in different many important cases we have tried to define that age of marriage. For example, when that Nirvaya case it was it that took place. Okay, so there we are also trying to find out uh, which is actually the age of a particular teen. Okay, and how at what is that particular individual that is entering to the adulthood. Okay, so there are many cases there because of which we are in a debate to define that particular age. At what is that stage will come where an individual can openly or freely enter into that institution called marriage. Okay, so for example, in India now we are trying to focus on that. If a girl that is having that is of 18 years, then she can freely enter into that institution. Okay, so accordingly, the age of the male, that is also fluctuating. Okay, so if they are above 18, then we are saying that yes, they are adult and they can choose their partners. Okay, so there are many instances or many um, issues or incidents they are coming where we are trying to redefine that particular age of marriage. Okay, so going to the next phase, what are the different rules of marriage are there? Okay, here you will try to say that whom to whom you can marry or to whom you cannot marry or you may not marry. Okay, so first rule is that incest marriage. Okay, where the rule of incest, it decide who is outside of that category and who is inside uh, that category. Okay, uh, here for example, you have seen the example of like who are the kings where you cannot marry and who are the kings where you can have that marriage alliances. Okay, so and those possibilities and those impossibilities that are being decided by the kinship rules and regulations. Okay, another rules is that is the endogamy and exogamy. We have very often heard these two rules where that endogamy or group that is decided by that particular community or particular kind of kin. Okay, so when you are marrying within that community or within that particular group, then it is endogamy. And when you are marrying outside that community or outside that group, then it is exogamy. Okay, so here it is given that uh, there are communities are there, some of them they prefer that endogamy and some of the community they prefer that exogamy. For example, that endogamy and exogamy, okay, that limits of marrying, that border is decided by that particular kind of uh, community or the kin group. Okay, for example, in India we have seen that in Hindu community, you have the Gotra exogamy. Okay, and for example, the tribal community, it is community endogamy. Means they have to marry within that community. Okay, you must have heard the term like village exogamy. So they cannot marry within that village. The partner has to be chosen from outside that village boundary. Okay, so there are many kind of those boundaries or those um, rules of exogamy and endogamy that are decided by the king's group or that are decided by the uh, community, caste, and that particular village or that particular regions. Okay, so that will vary. The rule of exogamy and exogamy, that will vary from region to region and that will vary from village to village, community to community, and the groups to groups. Okay, another rule you must have heard that is the intercaste, interreligion, and same-sex marriage. Okay, now these kind of marriage that are happening, and there are many instances or many examples in daily newspaper you must have gone through. Okay, so marriage among the different upper and lower caste. Okay, marriage between the different groups of religions. For example, the Hindu Muslim or the Hindu Christian or Muslim Christians. There may be any one of the religion which are present in India. Okay, and we in recent year we have also seen that marriage of same sex. Okay, so A male is marrying to a male, a female is also married to a female. Okay, so there are these were, for example, these were the rules which are not present in India at a particular point of time. Okay, now these incidents that are increasing. Okay, and you must have heard the case of migrant tribals. Okay, here the rule of marriage, okay, they that are changing because of the uh, mm, because of the society that is changing. Okay, when a particular group that is marrying, that is migrating from one place to another place, definitely the institutional rules will be getting changed in that place. Okay, so these tribal groups, these migrant tribal groups, their uh, 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 their rules of marriage, that is repeatedly changing. Okay, here it was given that because they are migrating in a routine basis, they are cut off from their original habitat or original social structure. Okay, so and they are marrying, or they are residing in a different other place. Okay, so the rule of marriage, that is changing. Okay, so change in that rule, you must have heard that the endogamy and exogamy. Okay, when they are marrying in a destination place may not be there one unaware about their origin, or their unaware about their kinship uh, uh, ties. Okay, so there you will find many kind of change in that places. Okay, and there are many, as we have discussed, there are many kind of rights it is being assigned to those married persons. Okay, for example, they can also break that uh, rule, or they can also voluntarily withdraw their membership from that institution. For example, we have seen that consent separation. Okay, or separation with the consent of the community. Okay, that kind of separation is also happening. Okay, so we have seen these kinds of rules. Okay, some kind of accessibility, and if they want, they can withdraw from that institution as the community rules is it is trying to prescribe. Okay, and there are many patterns of spouse selections are there. We have heard the phenomenon like that is arranged marriage or marriage by choice. Okay, where marriage by choice, the two individuals they are given the rights whom they choose to marry, and marriage that is called the marriage by self. Okay, and there are also marriage which are happening by the in a arranged way. Okay, uh, here one of the patterns of selection that is given by the Bloomberg and Gorky, that is marriage by the parents or elders. It is choice without consulting either the boy or the girl. Okay, and marriage by self choice without consulting parents and elders. Okay, so both thing that is happening. Okay, if the parents or the elders they are choosing, they are not taking the consent of the both party, the male and female. If the individual who are getting married, they are choosing, they are not taking the consulting, they are not consulting the elders. Okay, that is also happening. Marriage by the self choice but with the parent consent, that process is also happening. Okay, so they will choose, but they will definitely take the consent of marriage. If the consent of parents, if parents are denying, then they will not get married. Okay, then next is yes, marriage by the parent choice. Sorry for the inconvenience. Actually, I have changed my place of taking class, so that is coming in between time interval. I'm getting disconnected. Okay, so we are discussing the different kind of rules that are taking place in the institution of marriage. Okay, so for example, we are discussing how we are selecting the mates, patterns of selection of that mate or the partners. Okay, like we were discussing the choice, marriage by choice or marriage, the arranged marriage. Okay, and in last part we are discussing there are different marriage rituals and status are there. Okay, and those rituals are of variety. Okay, and like in some of the part we have given the example dowries, and in some of the part there is a concept of uh, bride price that is there. Okay, and as we are also discussed, we have also discussed the uh, marriage rule of anuloma and pratiloma, that is again deciding the status of that particular person who are getting married, or the p- two parties of that marriage. Okay, so looking the status of that two parties, that marriage is happening, and that is one media through which they can uplift their status. Okay, or they can degrade, or they can demote their status. Okay, so that provision is also there, and uh, the interpretation of status and interpretation of the marriage rule, that is again, it will vary from the region to region and community to community. Okay, for example, text has given the different meaning of dowry. Okay, but how it has understood by us and how we are practicing. Okay, so there are different connotation to that concept. Okay, like the concept of bride price, because one earning member is taken away from that particular family, so family of bride, so they have to repay that members earning through the bride price. Okay, so that is their understanding. Okay, so interpretation that will vary from the region to region, and as we have also tried to discuss that these recent changes like the intercaste, interreligion, and same-sex marriage, that is also happening. Okay, here the dissolution of marriage, we said that if the person they have voluntarily entered, that means the pattern of dissolution, that should be that should provide that kind of exit. Okay, exit pattern. But in most of the cases we have seen that, for example, monogamy, uh, that is strictly practiced by the female Hindu females. Okay, but polygyny or polygamy, that is allowed to the men of a Hindu community. Okay, so that kind of variations you will get. Okay, so a widow cannot marry, the widow cannot remarry. Okay, so that concept is there, but the male can do. Okay, so various kind of institutional rules, rituals are there, and as we said that it will vary from the place to place. Okay, you're going to the block 4, we have the um, we have the that is a unit called kinship approaches to descent and alliance approaches to the study of kinship in India. Okay, uh, here we will basically try to understand what are the two approaches to study the kinship system, refer to the patterns found among the numerically dominant Hindu population. Okay, because from the very beginning, the text which are present in India, that is of the Hindu community, and that is dominated by the particular community. So our studies, that is heavily populated with the text of those particular one community. Okay, and we will try to examine the application of these two approaches to study the kinship system in India. Okay, when we will study the kinship system, uh, we will try to study this in four broad group. Okay, so what is kinship groups is there, and kinship terminologies are present, and marriage rules and ceremonial exchange of gifts among the kins are present. Okay, going to the kinship group, here you have seen that there are many kind of social groups, they are present. Okay, and one of the types of family we were studying in our previous class, that was the patrilocal or patrilineal family. Okay, where the descent was drawn from the male side, or from father to son. Here, when we are studying the patrilineage, we are applying that principle. Okay, and these are the kinship rules of the North Indian community. Okay, so here in patrilineage, you trace the descent in the line of male, that is from the father to son. Okay, members of a patrilineage cooperate as well as fight in various situations. Okay, so here, what are the cases where they will cooperate, or in which kind of situation they will have a conflict, and they will have the rules of inheritance of the status and property. Okay, so here in the case of cooperation, you must have seen in kinship community, maybe it's a patrilineal community or a matrilineal community, but in North Indian patrilineage family, patrilineage kinship system, here you will see that the cooperation that is found in the situation like marriage. Okay, where they participate in different kind of they participate because of those exchange. Okay, and here it is given that they also cooperate in the case of economic activities, in rituals and economic activities. Okay, for example, you have seen that there will be a exchange of resources, common resources. Okay, because they are based as the agricultural community, so they will try to share those common resources. Okay, seeds, bull, or any tilling tools. Okay, or in some of the parts, they will also try to exchange or lend the labors. If for example, if one kinship member, they have cooperated you, or they have helped you in this particular season, in next season of agriculture you will try to repay with that kind of labor cooperation. Okay, so that is also happening. And conflict, here you will see that in different communities of North Indian family, that is aroused, or that is arise because of that particular situation, like when you are dividing that property, and that again, that is among the siblings. Okay, so that partition of property, that uh, go to the extent of family rivalry. Okay, so Here they will try to take that path of non-cooperation, or they will not consult their kin member, they are different from each other. That kind of situation you will find. Okay. And in the inheritance of status and property, that is decided by the community. Okay, how that inheritance will be done. In patrilineal family, most of the time you have seen that the father's property that is inherited by the son, not by the uh, daughter. Okay. That legal rights is given to the male child. Okay. And here it is given that in a patrilineal family, uh, there are different kind of kinship characteristics you can find. Okay. And in North India, another concept you will find, that is the clan. Okay. And uh, a clan, a lineage is an exogamous unit. It means one cannot marry from the same lineage. Okay. And when a larger exogamous category that is found, that is called as the clan. Okay. And here in Hindu community, that is called as the Got, that is known as the Gotra. Okay. They have to be exogamous. Okay. When they are deciding the Gotra, or when they are finding their discussing their Gotra. Okay. That kind of exogamy that is present. Okay. And when you are discussing the lineage, lineage or the clan, there you will find many kind of caste and subcaste. Okay. For example, in marriage alliances among some subcaste, there can be the uh, marriage. Okay, that can take place. Okay, so there are many rules and regulations are there when you are deciding the property rights, when you are deciding the that is the marriage alliances, and when you are deciding the uh, status of that particular family. Okay, so that kinship rule, it decide those kind of rights to the particular woman, particular male or woman. Okay. And here it is another concept that is given, that is fictive kin or the and step relatives. Okay. Here the fictive kings is there, the people who are not related either by the descent or marriage. uh, they are related with the bonds of fictive kinship with each other. Okay. uh, uh, that that kind of kinship group that is found among the village community. Okay. And in the urban community also. Okay. And we have also find that there are presence of this fictive community among the tribal community also. Okay. Because on the basis of the common residence in a village in North India, unrelated individuals may usually behave like brothers. Okay. And similarly, residents uh, in some in the urban cities like in the Mumbai slums area, because they are from they reside in a particular same place, so they behave like the brothers. Okay. uh, mm, Here the fictive kings are, they are not related by the blood or by the any kind of descent rules. Okay, so but they will act like the kinship members. Okay, they will provide those security. They will provide those cooperations. Okay, so because we find that kind of nature or that kind of characteristic from those community, so they can be called as the fictive kin or the step kin. Okay, and going to the kinship terminology, there are different kind of rules are there when you are deciding that terms. Okay, and when you are explaining those kinship terminology. Okay, here we will see that in North India, how the relationship they starts from the person who is speaking. Okay, so there are three steps are there. Okay, the step one is that the elementary relationship of filiation upward and downward siblings like brother and sister, and marriage comprises the first set of talk. Okay, and second step is that then we have the relationship of second order, that are the formed by combining two elementary relationship, that is filiation and filiation plus filiation, then filiations and siblings plus filiation, marriage, uh, filiation and marriage plus siblings. Okay, so these are the second categories. Okay, so elementary category is the relationship of filiation upward and downwards, like and siblings and marriage comprises. Okay, and third order is the relationship is represented by filiation marriage, uh, filiation. Okay, for the Dumont, he has tried to explain the kinship terminology. It is not a classificatory type of terminology because it does not classify the kinship terms according to the numbers of principles of opposition. All the same, the emphasis, the patrilineal descent or North Indian kinship terminology observe a clear-cut distinction between the parallel and cross cousin. Okay, the children of one's brothers are Bhatija for male child and Bhatiji for the female child, and the children of one's sisters are Vanja, that are the male child, and Vanji, that are the female child. Okay, so a person's parallel relatives are members of his or her descent group, and therefore they also live nearby the same village. In contrast, a person's sister's children or cross relatives are the members of a different descent. They are also residents of a different place. This distinction between the brother's children and the sister's children, which is made in the North Indian kinship terminology, is also important in the context of kinship system in South India. Okay, so in South India, you will see the descent and the kinship system drawn from that male and drawn from the female. That variation you will also find in both South and North India. Okay, and the social behavior and the kinship signifying social behavior. Here, Iravati Karve has given a list of kinship terms in North Indian language. She made use of kinship terminologies to describe and compare kinship system in various parts of India. She has also studied the terms and also use the use the findings of understanding in uh, influences which played a part in shaping them. Okay. Here you must have heard uh, the kinship terminology or the usages term from where you can draw the kind of behavior they're expected. Okay, so Oscar Lewis, he has studied North Indian village and described the paternal relationship between the person and his elder brother's wife, popularly known as the Devar Vabi relationship. Uh, that characteristics is a joking relationship. Okay, in contrast to that joking relationship, this joking relationship is the behavior of avoidance between a woman and her husband's fathers. Okay, here she has also she has to also avoid the husband's elder brother. The term of husband's father is Savasur or Sasur. For the husband's elder brother, it is Vasur. Okay, Vasur is a combination of the Sanskrit word that is Bhrata and the Sasur. Okay, so Sasur, the father-in-law, and elder brother and Sasur, the combination of father-in-law and the elder brothers, that terminology is the Vasur. Okay, so here you will see that they will not cooperate or they will not interact in a joking way. Okay, like the Devar Bhavi they were interacting. A person's a person wife, he has to avoid the elder brothers, but he has to make a very good joking relationship with the younger brother. Okay, that kind of from that term you can actually know the kind of relationship they are having. Okay, Sasur, Devar, Vasur. Okay, from that terminology we will you can get to know the relationship status of that two individuals. Okay, and what are the different marriage rules are there? Okay, in different kinship systems. Okay, there are different patterns of marriage are there in the uh, kinship organizations. Okay, in the context of North India, you will find that people have a good idea of different categories where one cannot marry. Okay, here you are trying to explain that rule of endogamy and exogamy. Okay, uh, what are the different kind of exogamy you can find in the North Indian kinship system? Okay, here from the very beginning we have discussed the clan exogamy. Okay, one cannot marry within the same class or one cannot marry within a same gotra. Okay, uh, there are also the exogamy of exogamy where the principle of four clan rule is applied. Okay. In Iragavati Karve's words, according to this rule, a man must not marry a woman from his father's gotra, his mother's gotra, his father's mother's gotra, or his mother's mother's gotra. Okay. So, in other words, this rule prohibits marriage between two persons who share any two of their eight gotra links. Okay, this means the rule of exogamy goes beyond one's own lineage. Okay, so you are restricted from your father's sides and you are also restricted from your mother sides. That exogamy is there. Okay, in another kind of exogamy that is present in North Indian society that we are discussing, that is the village exogamy, because it is believed that the kinship group they actually reside, they are the origin from same gotra. Okay, so that particular family will grow and that will divide it into different other families. Okay, so they will reside in that same location. It means a particular kinship group, they will form a village. So village exogamy is practiced in the North Indian family. Okay, and what are the rule of endogamy that are present? Okay, so marriage within the subcaste. So you can marry your subcaste people. Like we have given the examples of endogamy and exogamy. Okay, where one can move to the upper caste or one can demote to the lower caste. Okay, so that principle is also there in the case of marriage alliance. Okay, when you are marrying to the subcaste people. Okay, and there are also ceremonial exchange of gifts among the kings that are present. Okay, we have seen that there are the bride giver in correspondence with their inferior status vis-a-vis their bride taker. Okay, it initiates the process of gift giving during the marriage and continues to give uh, greater amount of gifts. In other words, you can say that the gift giving and receiving is a well defined social activity in the kinship systems. Okay, so there is a this is the example of ceremonial exchange of gifts among the kings. Okay, uh, how in next part we will try to discuss how those aligns theory to the study of kinship system that is applied in South India. Okay, so we have discussed the North Indian family, but how that is taking place in the South Indian family. We will try to discuss that thing. Okay, here in same light we will discuss what are the kinship group and kinship terminologies are there, and what are the marriage rules are there, and how ceremonial exchange of gifts among the kings that is happening. Okay, in South India you will define those kinship relatives into two groups. Okay, uh, one is the patrilineage and the second is the affins. Okay, patrilineage, it is like the South North Indian family where we said that the descent will be drawn from the male side. Okay, and who are the affins or affinal relatives? Here the kin group of affinal relatives, those related through the marriage, is opposite of that is the opposite of patrilineal. Okay, beyond the patrilineage, beyond the patrilineage are the relatives who belong to the group in which one's mother was born, as well as one's wife is born. Okay, a person uterine or mama from mother's side, and affinal Machinna from wife's side. Those kings comprise a common group that is Mama Machinna. Okay, Mama Machinna. These group of relatives include uh, also the group in which a person's sisters, father's sisters are married. Okay, Dumont has described the nature of interaction between a patrilineage and the affins to be always cordial and friendly. So, one group we have decided the patrilineal. So, from father to son. Okay, here the other group, those groups, they are related through the marriage. The maternal or the of one person uterine part or uterine group, they are in consideration, uh, they are called as the affinal relatives, or in South India they are called as the mama machinna. Okay, so another kind of group that is present in the South India, those are the indirect pangalis. Here, if a group A is one's patrilineage and group B is one's mama machinna, okay, then members of group C, which is mama machinnas of group B, will become classificatory brothers to people of group A. The term for such classificatory brothers is Mureku Pangali. Okay, these relatives, though called a kin kind of Pangali, are never equal to actual uh, co-personal or the share of joint patrilineal property. Beyond this cycle of relatives, the rest are only neutral mean people. Okay, so in South India, we will have different systems or different patterns of kinship organizations. Okay, going to the terminology, kinship terminology in South India, definitely we'll find the differences with the North Indian kinship terminology. Okay. So first is the parallel and cross cousin. Okay. Who are the parallel cousins and who are the cross cousins? Okay. Here, parallel cousins are those who are the children of the siblings of same sex. This means children to two brothers or children to of a two sisters. Okay, they are the parallel cousin to each other. And cross cousins are those who are the children of the sibling of two opposite sex. It means the children of a brother and a sister. They are the cross cousins. Okay. Uh, there are many principles of interaction that are there in the South Indian terminology. Okay, here different terms that has been given to the this particular group, parallel cousins and cross cousins. Okay, the parallel cousins are referred. The parallel cousins are referred as brothers and sisters. Okay, for example, in Tamil, one will address all parallel cousins Annan. Okay, or Tambi. To the elder brothers, they will refer the Anna, and to the younger brother, they will refer them as the Tambi, and Akka to the elder sister, and Tangachi to the younger sisters. Okay, brother of the children of the siblings or same-sex siblings. It means brothers, one brother's childrens. Okay, and cross cousins are neighbor brothers and sister. For example, in Tamil, one referred to a cross cousin as Mama Mangal or Mangan, mother's brother's daughter or son, or Atai Mangal or Mangan, that is father, sister, daughter, or son. Okay, so here, because they are not considered as the siblings, the marriage alliances are that are siblings among the cross cousins in South India. Okay, so that system is present in South Indian family. Okay, and there are also classificatory nature of kinship terminology that are present. Okay, um, the terminology become why they become the classificatory when one group consists of all the brothers and sisters, including one's parallel cousins and the children of the father's parallel cousin. Okay, that is one group. And the other group comprises of cross cousins and affinal relatives, such as wife, husband, and category A, that are the parallel cousins group, relatives. Okay, in Tamil, this category is called the term like we mentioned, that is Mama Machinna. Okay, so there are various terminology uh, are there in South India also, from where you can actually know the kinship relationship with that one person when that person is speaking. Okay, and there are also some categorical terms are there, which from where you can know from which side or from which lineage that particular person is belonging. Okay, so that kind of groups are also there. Okay, marriage is rule in South Indian kinship communities, that is also different from the North Indian family. As we mentioned that cross cousin marriage, it can also happen, and here you will also find the marriage alliance or the that is marriage among the different communities of caste. Okay, there are majorly three types of preferential marriage rules are there. Okay, one is there uh, marriage between the man and his elder sister's daughter. Okay, that is first given. The first preference is given to that when a man marries to his elder sister daughter. Okay, uh, that is possible in the South India. And next category is that they prefer most, that is the marriage of a man with his father sister daughter. Okay, that can also possible. In third type, uh, that is preferred. Uh, that is the marriage between a man and his mother's brother daughter. Okay, that can also happen in South Indian family or South Indian community. Okay, and going to the ceremonial exchange of gifts among the kinship. Uh, Here you must have seen that gifts passing from the bride's family to the groom's family, or in a reverse way, that can also happen. Okay, it means exchange between the different affins. Okay, so that kind of group gift exchange, it also happens in the South Indian family. Okay, so here I will take a 5 minute breaks. Then we will start the fourth block. Okay, that is what the perspectives on caste, class, and gender. Okay, after 5 minutes, I will start with the fourth block and unit three, that is 13, unit 13, agrarian classes and categories. Okay, class. Let's resume to the. Okay, so you will start block 4, that is perspective on caste, class, and gender. Okay, so from block 4 we will discuss the unit 13, that is agrarian classes and categories. Okay, so as the term that is mentioned in your title, that is agrarian class, so we have to understood what is class. Okay. So there are two classical understandings of a class that are present. Okay. So first classical thoughts that has explained the caste system, that is Karl Marx. Okay. So he has explained class. It is as a dichotomous one, and here you will try to find out two groups in a particular society. Okay. So that is again discussed on the basis of the economic activities. So, in every society, you will find two fundamental classes. One is the producer, other is the non-producer, and that is haves and have-nots. Okay, one will produce the things, or one will control uh, mm, the rules or the modes of production, and other will be the laborers in that production system. So in this way you will find two categories in a particular society. Okay, and according to the Weber's understanding, he is trying to understand the class, that is again in relation to the economic activities of that particular society, but he has not polarized the society into two groups. Rather, he has tried to define the caste system on the basis of the different groups. Okay, and here Weber has defined classes as a group of people who share similar position in a market economy, or by virtue of this fact, similar economic rewards. Okay, or the class status you must be acquainted with. Okay, so as Marx has polarized society, here Weber has given the different uh, categories to that society, and that economic activity or the market situation will try to decide the different categories of class in a particular society. Okay, so what are the going to the notion of agrarian society? uh, as we have studied as a sociology student, there are different types of society that are present. From the very beginning we have said that uh, civilization, it has grown from a particular point of livelihood source to the uh, other source of livelihood source. Okay, or livelihood activities. Okay, the mode of production or the kind of economic activities, those are different in the different phases of civilization. Okay, so in modern industrial society, uh, you will find the class structure in some ways common. It is common in everywhere. Okay, uh, you will also find the various class group like the working class in agrarian societies. Okay, the social structure of agrarian societies that are marked as the diversities of various kinds. The nature of agrarian classes that are structured uh, in varieties, and that variation will be from different region to region. Okay, and that got very complex when you are talking of in a recent time. Okay, so the agrarian structure in most society have been experiencing a fundamental transformation when you are discussing in a present social context. Okay, so in most of the developed societies of West, agriculture, it has become a rather a marginal sector of economy, employing only a very small proportion of their working population. Though the significance of agriculture has considerably declined in countries of the third world. Okay, so there is a different scenario you can find in the developed countries and in the third world countries. Okay, uh, where the and on the basis of the agricultural activities, these societies are explained, or these are labeled as the developed or the underdeveloped or the third world society. Okay, and when we are going to the notion of discussing the notion of peasantry society, here there you will find many perspectives on the peasants. Okay, the anthropological perspectives which are talking of peasant groups, they are saying that pigeons are seen or they are similar when you are discussing their social and economic organizations. Okay, they cultivate their own plots of land with the labor of their families and produce primarily for the consumption of their own families. Okay, so in other words, you will not find any significant class differences in the peasantry. Okay, while internally the peasantry was more or less that are homogeneous, peasant society are invariably dominated from outside by the urban elite. Okay, unlike the primitive or tribal communities, peasant societies produce surplus, that are they produce more than that what was enough for their subsistence requirement of their family. Okay, those are the surplus. Okay, in cultural and social terms, peasants are seen to be the fundamentally different from the modern entrepreneurs. Okay, the attitude towards work and their relationship to the land was very different from the profit-seeking entrepreneurs of the modern industrial society. Okay, as Robert Redfield, he has um, done pioneered study on peasant community. He argues that peasantry was universal human type. They were attached to land through bonds of sentiments, emotions. Agriculture for them was it was a livelihood and way of life, not a business for profit. Okay, so some group they are defining peasant as a subsistence group, and they are a homogeneous group. They are different from the modern industrial societies or modern entrepreneurs. Okay, here China, how he has argued that governing the logic of peasant economies was different from the modern industrial economy. Okay, unlike the industrial society where economic process was governed by the principle of profit maximization and law of capital, the logic of peasant economy was subsistence oriented. Okay, here you will find the variation in farm size, productivity of land, uh, in the Russian countrysides, okay, that are not guided by the profit or class differentiation, but that are again affected by the demographic factors. Okay. So there are many researchers who have tried to give in or who have tried to define the define the peasant communities. Okay, whom we can call as the peasant communities. Okay, here there are some other factors which has been defined by the Theodore Sanin, that are Peasant family worked as the basic multidimensional unit of social organization. The family farm operated as the major unit of peasant property production, consumption, welfare, social reproduction, identity, prestige, sociability, and welfare. The individual tended to submit a formalized family role, behavior, and patriarchal authority. Okay, the land husbandry work as the main means of livelihood. Peasant farming was characterized by traditionally defined social organization and law low level of technology. Okay, here you will find pre-modern times of tools and technology they will use for their agricultural activities. Okay, so peasant society followed the specific cultural pattern linked to the way of life of a small rural community. Peasant culture often conformed to the traditional norms of behavior and was characterized by the face-to-face relation. Okay, and peasantry was almost always dominated by the outsider. The peasants were invariably kept at arm's length from the source of power. Okay, Sanin argued that their political subjugation was also interlinked with their cultural subordination and economic exploitations. Okay, so various scholars they have tried to find out different natures of those peasantry community. Okay, so one of the type we are most acquainted with, that are the kind of feudal society or the feudalism. Okay, uh, so that feudal society or feudalism that got most popular in the 18th and 19th century, when we had visualized or we have experienced the industrial revolutions. Okay, so at that time of industrial revolution, that particular feudal society or feudalism was uprooted, and that was uh, replaced by the industrialism or capitalism or industrial society. It has replaced the feudal society. Okay, so we consider feudalism or feudal society as one of the uh, mm, part of your peasantry or peasant society. Okay, and now in the contemporary society, what are the different characteristics of an agrarian society? Those feudal society, as we were discussing, that has got changed because of those kind of changing forces like industrializations. Okay, so because of that you will find change in the structure function of that particular society, feudal society. Now you will find many changes in relation to the land, in relation to the community members, in relation to the production or amount of production. Okay, or how they are using. Like we were discussing, they are the subsistence community. They produce for their consumption only, and surplus was there also. But contemporary society, how they are using those surplus and how those surplus they are coming to the market. Okay, what is the uh, process, and how they are picking different kind of crops for the agriculture. For example, there is the replacement of food grains by the cash crop. Okay, so that thing is also happening. Okay, so there are many changes which has been experienced by these peasant communities. Okay, and going to the presence of class system in this peasant community. Okay, so scholars they have also found in different classical scholar thoughts, they have also found the presence of class system which are present in the agrarian society. Okay, as we have in the case of India, we have also seen that landlords and landless laborers, zamindars and workers. Okay, so many communities or groups are there in the agricultural structure or agrarian societies who are possessing different amount of land, or who have the different amount of power, prestige, and privileges. Okay, so that differentiation decide the class structure. Okay, so that are present in the peasant society also. Okay, so there are rich peasants are there, there are middle peasants are there, are poor peasants are there. Okay, so we have also categorized the amount of land possession and the types of peasants, who are rich, who are middle, and the who are the poor peasants community. Okay, and how this agrarian social structure, which has got affected by the different change in India. Okay, like we were discussing in caste system, there is a concept called Jasmani system that was present, where Tamils, they provide service to their Jasmans. Okay, sometimes those Tamils work in the Jasman's land. Okay, so that are the traditional agrarian relationship that are present in the particular point of a time. But that reciprocal exchange, that was not similar by the two groups, that is Jasmans and Kamins. Okay, so that agrarian relation, that has reinforced by the inequalities and the caste systems. Okay, and because of those inequalities and those that is exploitative class caste relationship, so that got changed or that got affected in the present society. Okay, so there are many uh, mm, agrarian relationship or many social structures which are present in India, and they have got affected by the different changing forces in due course of time. Okay, and how that agrarian, what are the different agrarian changes which has found in the British colonial rule. Okay, here you will see that they have tried to fix the amount of tax. Okay, they have tried to change the production system. They have tried to introduce new crops. Okay, like tea plantation, indigo cultivations. Okay, so they have introduced new kind of cultivation process or cultivation culture in the Indian society. So in British era, land policies, uh, taxation policies, introduction of intermediary systems, or change in the agriculture itself, you will find. And the entrant, the promotion of that class system in the that agrarian society, you will also find. Okay. After independence, there are also many changes which has happened due to the presence of constitutions. Okay, and how we have tried to invest on agriculture to rebuild our society. Okay, so that has actually changed the agrarian structure in independent India, like the different province that was there and how they got united after independence. So those provinces were, they are having their own peasantry system, they are having their own agrarian structure. Okay, so after the independence, they got affected by the uh, changing policies and programs, and they got affected by the government's rules and regulations. Okay, so in the 80s and 90s, okay, 70s, 80s, and 90s, we have seen the movement called like green revolutions. Okay, because that was again justified, that that was most needed kind of revolution India was in a need of that green revolutions. Okay, to combat different kind of issues which were prevailing in India. Okay, the unprecedented growth of population, okay, and growing hunger, and that is malnutrition and famine, different kind of issues they have to be tackled, and green revolution was the most needed kind of steps they has to it has to take. Okay, the justification was like that. Okay, and how agrarian classes they are present in India. Basically, here you will say how Daniel Turner he has given. You will find three structures in agrarian structure. One is the Malik, second is the Kisan, and third is the Mazdur. Okay, Malis who will possess the land, and Kisan who will try to cultivate that land, and Mazdur will be the laborer in that land. Okay, so various researchers they have worked on the agrarian structure, and they have given different form of structure in Indian agricultural society. Okay, so class today we will stop here and we'll start. We will try to cover in next class. Next class, the race part will be covered in our next class.